Imagine this for a moment. Life without cameras. Having no cameras means that we can't take pictures of ourselves with family or friends, sharing our precious moments together, or taking beautiful shots of nature. Living without cameras really sucks. This is why we must appreciate this invention. And the people who spent hundreds of years developing this technology, we can't imagine our lives without. That being said, let's take a deep dive into the history of this incredible invention and pay respect to the people who made our cameras a reality. The creation of the first camera-like contraption can be traced back to Abu Ali al-Hasan ibn al-Haytham, who lived during the 900s and 1000s in the lands of modern-day Iraq. He's considered to be the father of optics, explaining that visions occur when light reflects from one object and then passes to one's eyes. He'd proved this observation by creating a pinhole camera called the camera obscura. It's a light-proof box with a small hole on one side for the light to enter and strike a reflective surface and project an inverted colored image. However, camera obscura wasn't his original invention. The first mention of camera obscura can be traced back to Chinese philosopher Mo-tzu. He noted that light from illuminated objects that passed through a pinhole through a dark room created an inverted image of the original objects. While the camera was mostly used to observe solar events and draw architecture, it could not, by any means, capture and record photos since, it was the 1000s. They definitely didn't have advanced technologies to do so. However, al-Hasan's work significantly advanced the understanding of optics. That was until 800 years later when Nicephore Niepce made a camera obscura and used it to expose a pewter plate and coated it with bitumen to light. And behold, this became the first recorded image in history. It's kind of hard to see what's on there, but nevertheless, it was a big progress towards advanced cameras. The process he made is called heliography, when the image is made visible by dusting the plate with an oppositely charged pigmented powder, which is then electrostatically transferred to paper and fused with heat. The experiments continued until a new plate was used to record photos, daguerreotypes. They were copper players coated with silver. Once exposed to iodine vapor, it could reflect the light and create the image, but it would take approximately 15 minutes to take a photo. But that hasn't been a problem for long enough since the introduction of emulsion plates. They required only a few seconds of exposure to the light. This is the plate that was used to make portraits, such as those made during the American Civil War. However, photographers would get even more freedom in taking photos since the introduction of dried gelatin plates in 1870. They held the same perks as daguerreotypes, but they could also be stored for future use. But cameras were still a thing of luxury, too expensive for regular people to afford, with only rich people being able to buy them for their own use. That would, too, take a turn in the 1880s with the establishment of Kodak, a photo company that made cameras smaller and handheld. Kodak cameras were cheaper for regular people to afford, but different models could only take up to 100 photographs at a time. After reaching its full capacity, the camera had to be sent back to the factory to be reset until it was upgraded with refillable film cassettes. But that would soon change with the Leitz company, which invented a smaller camera anybody could use, the Leica camera. Commercialized after World War I, the Leica became one of the most popular cameras of that time. But this camera wouldn't get as much recognition as the camera made by Oscar Bernack, one of the employees of the Leitz company who invented the first camera that used 35mm film. The same tape format cameras used to take movies was now used to take pictures. His invention was called Ur-Leica, the original Leica. Ernst Leitz, the inventor and founder of the Leitz company, took this camera with him on a trip to the USA and could film everything. This was such a revolutionary tech that he ordered it to be mass-produced and marketed to the world. This was a risky move, but the Leica camera replaced heavy and clunky plate cameras, impressing consumers worldwide. Around 1948, the world was introduced to the Polaroid Model 95. Those cameras that take photos in less than a minute and print you an image. It was fairly expensive though. The 1950s marked the beginning of the SLR camera type, which uses a mirror and a prism system that allows the photographer to view through the lens and see what will be captured. Those first cameras of such type became the Asahi Flex by Pentax and the Nikon F by, well, Nikon. They became the cameras of choice for many photographers for the next 30 years, with neat upgrades like image control assisting, which helps to tune color, clarity, contrast, brightness, and other settings to express artistic nature and help create near-perfect photos. The end of the 1990s was a great time for Kodak to release their first digital camera, the Kodak DCS. Their first digital camera which shot, recorded, and stored photos in a digital format you could watch on your computer and even print out. Soon, other manufacturers like Canon, Nikon, and Pentax quickly followed the advance to digital cameras, replacing previous generations by making high-quality pictures. 2004 was another cornerstone of camera development, with the company Epson releasing the RD1, the first true mirrorless camera, which was lighter and smaller than a bulky DSLR and could nevertheless take good shots. Cameras are still being developed and upgraded to shoot pictures of higher quality and detail. Even our smartphone cameras are partaking in the development, now being able to take the most magnificent shots even the most advanced camera can take. But it's still fascinating to see how far this technology has come. And every smartphone has a little camera that can capture our most precious moments. So don't miss out on this opportunity. Take a photo when you can to remember your best moments when you're older.